You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's now talk about the talent, okay? Does Syracuse basketball have a talent problem? Feel free to let me know right now in the comments section below. Feel free. Let me know right before I get into everything I'm going to tell you. Just let me know what you think. Does Syracuse basketball have a talent problem? Okay? Look, I understand that J.J. Starling is out. J.J. Starling is a great player. 20 points a game this season. Syracuse basketball definitely misses him. That being said, there's talent on the team beyond J.J. Starling. And it's undeniable. So why is the team not good? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I'm blaming this all on coaching. Trust me, a lot of it is on coaching, but some of it is also on the players. I'll get to it more specifically why it's coaching right now, and then I'll get into a player in just a second. But the strength of the team is the interior. It's not the outside shooting, and it's on the coaches to recognize that. Why Syracuse basketball and offense continues to settle for jump shots early in the shot clock. It befuddles me. That's coaching. Where it's on the players is really with the shooting. They can't shoot. And the main culprit is Chris Bell. Chris Bell last season shot 42% from three-point. It was second in the ACC. He was one of the premier shooters in the conference, if not the country. And I had high hopes for him. Did I think that he was going to shoot 42% again? I actually thought it was possible. But at minimum, I was thinking, hey, he'll probably shoot upper 30s, 38, 39. He'll be the best shooter on the team. They need him to space the floor on offense. He's shooting 23% right now. We're 11 games in. That's a pretty big sample. They are only shooting 23%. That's embarrassing. But overall, I am losing faith in Coach Autry. I know I put out Poll Friday a couple of days ago where I said it's likely he's going to get a third year regardless. That doesn't mean I support him getting a third year. And at this rate, I don't. Let me go on record and say that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we're dancing in the Final Four next year and we're happy. Or that we have a massive turnaround this season. But I am not in favor of giving Adrian Autry a third season. I'm not. Let's talk about the rankings. Okay? Let's talk rankings. Per 24/7 Sports, Syracuse basketball had the 27th rated commit class in the country heading into this year. What is a commit class? It's freshmen and transfers that you bring in. You can't tell me that means nothing. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you a bunch of reasons right now why it does mean something. The majority of the 26 teams ahead of Syracuse are good. The majority of them. There are some that are underachieving. There are some that weren't really supposed to be good to begin with. And then there's Miami, who is maybe one of the only teams worse than Syracuse. But most of the 26 teams are at least pretty good. Syracuse is not even pretty good. Most of the 26 are tournament caliber teams or teams that could make the tournament, with the exception of a few, not the Orange. Some of the teams that are behind Syracuse in commit class rankings: Kentucky, Maryland, Tennessee, Michigan. Remember how bad Michigan was last year? They had a decent commit class. It wasn't better than Syracuse's. And lo and behold, they're really good again. Oregon, Texas Tech. You're telling me there's no talent on Syracuse basketball? None? I get that commit class rankings aren't everything. I'm not trying to tell you they're everything. They're not, clearly. Obviously, they were maybe wrong in a couple of players. But come on, they should at least be competitive in some of these games. They can't be losing by 27 to Maryland on a neutral court. They can't be losing a half by 26 points. It's not that big of a talent gap. You can't convince me it's so bad. Syracuse basketball recruited its highest rated high school player since Carmelo Anthony. That's Donnie Freeman, 6th in the country. They recruited Chapa Moore, a consensus 4-star player, and ranked as high as 58th in the country. Syracuse basketball recruited 4 transfers. Those 4 transfers were all rated 4 stars on at least one of the 2 major recruiting services that ranks transfers. All of them. You can't tell me there's nothing. There's nothing? It's barren? Is Syracuse basketball a top 27 most talented team in the country? No, they're not. They are not one of the top 27 most talented teams. I will level with you on that. But explain this to me. Should they be 135 in the net rankings right now? 135. Does Syracuse basketball have more or less talent than High Point, Middle Tennessee, Montana State? Those are teams that are ahead of the Orange in the net rankings. Rankings just mean nothing now, right? Apparently with Syracuse basketball. But why do they mean nothing? Could have something to do with coaching. If you're still not convinced, well, why do you think Syracuse football is suddenly on the upswing? Talk a lot of football here on this podcast, right? Talk a lot about Fran Brown's recruiting wins and his transfer wins. Why do you think they're better all of a sudden? Why were they not very good to begin with before Fran Brown? Go look at the recruiting rankings. They were bottom of the barrel in the ACC. Bottom of the barrel. Worst in the conference. Second worst in the conference. Year in and year out with Dino Babers. They hire Fran Brown. His first class in the ACC in 2024. It was 7th in the conference. 7 out of 17. That's upper half. This season, again, upper half. So you're telling me the recruiting rankings mean nothing? They mean something for football, at least. Fran Brown's a better recruiter now, so the football team is better, right? Am I calling out Adrian Autry? Absolutely. I'm calling him out. My expectations for this team going into the year, at minimum, be a bubble team. At minimum, just be a bubble team. That's all. I wanted it to be tournament or bust, but I acknowledge there are a lot of good teams in college basketball. Be a bubble team. They're not even close. You know what? Maybe they don't have a lot of talent. Maybe they don't. Maybe there is just a massive talent problem. After all. Well, then who's in charge of bringing in the talent? Who is it? It's Adrian Autry. Oh, but they recently hired a GM. Yeah, but that GM, Alex Klein, by the way, he was hired in the summer when the roster was basically finalized. Syracuse basketball made one more addition to its roster after Alex Klein was hired. It was Peter Mastervich, a freshman recruit. That's it. That's all they did. Should they have done more? That's not what I'm saying. But he doesn't really get any of the blame because he wasn't there. He wasn't in charge. I think he was actually there. I think he was a student at Syracuse. Actually, no, he wasn't there. He was a Syracuse student at one point, but no. He doesn't bear the responsibility for this. It's not on Alex Klein. It's on Adrian Autry. It's either this team does have talent, but they are poorly coached and they are underachieving, Chris Bell, or they have no talent, but that's still on Adrian Autry. No matter how you slice it, he is either a really good chef that can't get groceries, or someone who's a great grocery shopper but can't cook the groceries. You pick. That's Adrian Autry right now. So yeah, I'm calling him out. And I hope I'm wrong, but I know what I said in that podcast, that mini one on Friday. I know. He's likely going to get a third year. That doesn't mean I want him to get a third year.